20 years later, we get Disney says, well, we can top that. We're going to make Peter Pan and Wendy. And
Okay, look, this film, like I said, is very
yeah,
concerned with getting things right. Okay.
yes,
And
yeah,
so in that way, the only new idea they brought to the table was to make things boring. Let's just have everybody whisper, right? Let's just suck the color right out of this world. Just who
right.
needs it? Suck it out. And let's just be really underwhelming. Shall we? Let's give that a try. All right. A 5, 6, 7, 8. That's what they did with this film. It was so underwhelmingly safe. It was just they played it safe. You're going to give me every child's most dangerous, fantastical, colorful fantasy, and you're going to make me want to go jump off a ship afterwards, because this was a downer for me.
Well, I mean, we could talk about a lot of things in this one. The thing that's going to bug me more than anything else is the dreaded backstory of how Hook becomes Hook. Don't want it, don't need
Yeah.
it, didn't ask for it, didn't wonder about it.
Didn't wonder
And that,
about it.
yeah, that whole, well, he was a lost boy at one point, and then Peter, I mean, let's say Peter's even more of a dick. He's like sending him off, banishing him, and then he comes back, and at some point, his best friend Peter Pan cuts off his hand, and then they're battling for the rest of the. I mean,
And I'm
look,
sorry, you want me to believe that
yeah,
Alexander Maloney,
yeah,
this Peter Pan,
yeah.
is that two-faced liar kind of guy who cuts off someone's hand? You're trying to, what are you asking me to believe here? You're really asking me to
Yeah,
suspend some disbelief. And in a fairy story, right? You'd think I'd be able to, but
yeah,
no, I just, and this is the thing, anything that I say about Peter Pan in this version, Alexander Maloney, I, I feel so bad for this kid right now because no one's liking his performance. Like very few people have said good things about his performance. He was miscast, and whoever cast him, whoever okayed this, really needs to be held accountable here. And I hope he has like safety in place to keep him from the internet, because seriously, he's getting eviscerated in the reviews, like it's sad. And he wasn't ready to carry a film as Peter Pan. I am baffled by who okayed this, and they should be very, very much punished.
yeah. And he's not served by a really top-notch script. And
Nope.
again, that whole backstory stuff really puts him in and they start that backstory pretty early in the movie. About 28 minutes in, you're already starting to get this idea that Hook and Peter Pan have this weird, uh, broken friendship storyline.
Yeah.
Um, which, look, guys, if you're writing stuff, backstory needs to be simple. It needs to be, and if you're doing something that's based on something else, that backstory better be believable as hell. Otherwise, get rid of it. If he wants to play that, like we're talking about Jude Law now, if you want to make that your personal backstory, as actors will do that. They'll make their own backstory for something, and then they'll bring it to you in their acting, but you won't hear about it. It's for backstage.
Yeah.
It's for your own. It's in your notebook. It's what you're working on, when you're rehearsing on your own. But you don't tell anybody. You don't tell anybody you got that in your pocket. You don't. That is your backstory for you. If Jude
Yeah.
Law wa- if Jude Law wanted that to be his backstory, great. Play it. Play that used to be a lost boy. But I don't want that. I don't need to know that, and I don't want to know that.
As I was reading the book again, I never once thought to myself, I wonder how Hook got this way.
Yeah,
No. Whoever
yeah.
told directors, whoever told what's his name?
David Lowery.
David Lowery, whoever told David Lowery that anyone cared about why Hook is the way he is,
Yeah,
you lied to this man. No one actually cares.
right.
I think that it's
Well, it's
way more interesting about Peter's backstory. How did he manage to escape his pram at 7 days old and get to Neverland.
Right.
Show me that, please. Like, no version has done that before. This whole Hook, Peter animosity, this is the thing. Subtlety, less is more. And when you're banging it on the head so hard, you're taking all the nuance out of the original story. Obviously, this is a story about parenthood. Obviously, this is a story about dealing with the fact that adults are going to put you down and they're going to be overbearing. And how can you as a child rise up out of that? How can you grow up and be a father and do it differently than how your father did it? Like, these are the
Right.
broad topics at play in Peter Pan. When you just put it so obviously out there and discuss that Hook had a mommy too, and he missed his mommy, and that's the reason he got kicked out of Neverland. I mean, it's laughable almost. It's
Well,
silly.
and it makes Peter Pan the villain. It's
Right, yeah.
Peter Pan's the villain, because not only did he kick him out, then when he came back, then he cut off his hand and doesn't seem to be that sorry about it. And the apology at the end is such like a non-apology. It's like, I'm sorry I'm sorry I was a bad friend to you. And it's like, oh, okay. Even
And
and
it's
Peter and Hook doesn't want it, and I don't blame him.
right.
You're putting him up against one of the better Wendy's, because I thought Ever Anderson
Yes.
is great.
I thought
And that,
she carried this film.
yeah, well,
Carried it.
the scenes that she was in really, and that focused on her, really came to life.
I
And
mean, what
you,
didn't focus on her? This is
yeah,
Wendy's story for sure.
yeah. Again, this movie could just be called Wendy,
Mm-hmm.
and I probably would have been just fine with that. She has an
There was a
exuberance
film.
to,
There was a film called Wendy.
yeah,
I
the
didn't see it though.
exuberance, that she had for, all of her motives seem to be very believable. She's playing every moment like I would think the Wendy in this movie would play. I mean, they give her some clunkers, like when she sees that there's girls in the Lost Boys, and she's like, but you're girls, and they're like, so, and she's like, well, I guess that's okay. And it's like, okay,
I guess it really doesn't matter.
I guess, yeah, we're having to lampshade that for some reason, because we want everybody to know that we've diversified the Lost Boys, which I have no problem with diversifying the Lost Boys, but you don't have to tell me.
Well,
Just
and also,
have
yes,
have them.
that's yes,
Yeah,
just have them.
just have
You're
them.
taking the words out of my mouth. Just let them
Yeah,
be
just have
girls.
them.
And the fact that they comment on it is what kills it, because this
Yeah,
is what it is. If they're identifying as girls and you're calling them lost boys, what is the message we're sending? That girls shouldn't be proud to be called girls? Or I mean, if you would make them, if you wanted to go non-binary with these kids, then go there, make a choice. Like you were saying,
right.
have a meeting.
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
the message? Because
yeah,
2003, they had a meeting. It was a
yeah.
tight project. Everyone was in the same world. We knew the film we were making here. And it gave me, I mean, a lot of colors, but it gave them to me strong. And
Yeah.
with this, with 2023, it was muddy. It was all over the place. Not to mention it had pacing issues. I was falling asleep. You could drive a truck through the pause that Jude Law does between words. I was literally, every time Captain
Yeah,
Hook spoke, I would grab my phone instinctually, because my mind just went bored, could be doing other things. Oh, things are needing my attention. Like, at
yeah.
no point, it was a struggle to pay attention to this film. It was very boring.
Yeah, there's a
Mhm.
line that he says at one point where Wendy asks him why they fight, and he says, because he's a pirate and I'm Peter Pan. I don't need to know anything else.
Yeah.
I don't need to know anything else. This is still at the heart a children's story.
Hmm.
He's Peter Pan, he's Captain Hook, they're enemies, the end. That's all I need to know. Don't confuse it.
Speaking of the script, there's a line that Captain Hook says. He says, "Show me a child who truly knows the difference between right and wrong, and I'll show you a man who can't remember why it mattered in the first place." Can you explain
Oh,
this line to me?
I
I I
can't.
I can't either. And I think it's because it sounds like it means something. And actually, guys, when you analyze this line, it doesn't mean anything. It
That
is
is
nonsensical.
that is a screenwriter going type, type,
I'm
type, type,
wondering if
type.
I'm wondering if
And
Chat GPT wrote that. Like, Because it
No,
sounds like a platitude. It sounds like something that is that for the ages, something epic that you could say, but it means nothing. Jack shit.
I'm going to tell you right now, the screenwriter wrote that line, hit saved that doc, and then leaned back in his chair and was like, "Ah,
Yep.
I did it. I did
And the
it."
way and the way that Jude Law sells it too, like, show me a child who really knows the difference. I'm like, oh my God, dude, just because you're saying it in like a whispery, intense way. And why are we whispering in this film? I was just screaming at the why is everyone
Yeah.
whispering? Pirates, arg, matey, like that, you're whispering. But then the background pirates, let me tell you, the background actors, they were having fun. I was
Yeah.
looking at them. You got misery, darkness, gloom and doom, and then you have the most cracked out background actors that ever walked Disneyland in a costume for a 4-hour shift. I mean, these people, why are they so over the top? These
Yeah.
pirates, these it was so and there's this running bear joke where like give me the bear after she kills the children, the bear's mine. Like this is not playing. This is so not funny.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I will say one thing. Um, by the time I watched this movie, I was really hoping that somebody would slap Peter Pan in the face. And I was very happy that Wendy
That was
was
my favorite
finally just
part.
like, I was just like, that was a long time coming, Peter. That Wendy was just gonna haul off and get you right in the face. Peter Pan is supposed to be having fun.
Yes.
Peter Pan, that's the whole lure of Peter Pan is we're going to go off to this place. It's not just that there's no rules. It's there's no rules and isn't that fun? It's not that we never have to grow up. It's we never have to grow up and isn't that great?
Right.
It's like it's not the boy who couldn't grow up, it's the boy who wouldn't grow up. It
Right.
is willful. He could
Yes.
always go back to London and grow old. He chooses not to because it's fun to be him. To him, at least, it is fun to be him. So you suck that fun out,
When you
and
first
then
get to Neverland in the 2023, the children seem miserable. None
yeah,
of them are having any fun. They're like, "Are you
yeah,
Wendy who tells stories? Well, we're boys too. Yeah, so
right.
what?" Like they're so offensive and like angry.
And
And
while I liked that Tiger Lily, I was also like, is she just by herself? I mean, she doesn't have a family. We don't see any family of hers, and she's not allowed to go like into their house. I didn't quite get that at all. It was like she's like, "Oh, I have to leave you here because I don't belong here." And it's like, aren't you part of this group? You seem to be part of this group. You should be part of this group.
well, maybe it's because she annoyingly talks half Native American, half English when it suits her, like as a weird inside joke that only she's on the inside. I mean, I was puzzled as to why they were having her speak in Native
Yeah,
American when Wendy clearly is saying, I can't understand you. Nope, got none of that. Like, can you
right.
say it in a way? And then she's like, she'll say like a couple of English words. Like, clearly she knows English. Why is she not? It's bizarre. It makes her seem crazy or something, you know? And
Again, it's like that choice of underlining the Lost Boys now being having the diversity in the Lost Boys and underlying that moment and underlying the backstory and all that sort of stuff. It's like we're trying to make a point, but I don't need a point. I need entertainment.
yes,
Yeah, I'll get the points on my own. You don't have to
right.
supply them for me. I will get them. I'm watching
Can I
your
have a
movie.
little
Yeah,
entertainment, please? Yeah. And this was just
yeah,
a movie full of points. It was a full of
yeah,
check boxes that they had to hit. Yeah. And can you
yeah.
please explain to me how this new Tiger Lily is supposed to be not offensive? Because I'm sorry, but from where I'm sitting, she's looking like a pretty stereotypical Native American. She rides a horse when everyone else has to walk. She
Yeah.
only speaks her native language, even though she knows how to speak English. I don't know. She only expresses her sentiments in these like platitudes. She's like Princess Platitude. The only heart to heart real moment she has with Wendy, she references her great great ancestor or like her great
Of
great
course.
grandmother,
Of course.
grandmother freaking Willow. I mean, like Disney. have you come very far? And then in the end, she comes in and she kicks ass and she's stoic and she talks like a fortune cookie. I mean, she's like a stereotypical Native American. I don't see how
Yeah,
this is not offensive. Like, I
yeah.
have no connection to my Native American heritage and I am offended. Like, that's
And
all we are
again,
to you.
and again, just cut the character. Not necessary. Not necessary. You're not, I mean, just like what we were talking
You're
about
losing
with the
nothing.
cartoon.
She's not
You
even in the
lose,
book that much. You lose
yeah,
nothing by cutting her. Just cut it.
yeah,
Cut,
yeah,
take, let Tiger Lily, let her give her lines to a Lost Boy, or like, I don't know, maybe invent a whole new character. If you want to be different and remake Peter Pan and make it totally unlike Peter Pan and do an origin story, then make some choices. Like, be bold enough to cut things out of the precious novel when they're not
yes,
serving anything. There was
yes.
just, like I said, this movie has no teeth, no balls. It's
And
a
it thinks it has a lot.
that, yeah.